This is StoryRobot. Welcome to r/NuclearRevenge. Our first story of today is Evil Stepfather. When I was 15, my mom started dating a man she met on a dating website. I didn't like him the first time I met him, and 2 months later he moved into the house. About 3 weeks after he moved in, he took my skateboards, self-built halfpipe, ramps, BMX bike, ice hockey gear, and many other things to the dump one day while I was at school. He said he did this because he didn't want all of my crap cluttering up his garage. Maybe 2 months later, he punched me in the stomach for the first time because I got up from the dinner table without asking to be excused. From there it has collated into full-fledged beatdowns for the smallest perceived slight to his authority. One day, he decided to take my extensive Pokémon card collection, even more extensive comic book collection, my Game Boy and PS2 with all the assorted games, and my fantasy and science fiction book collection, and got rid of it all, because 15 boys should be playing football and baseball, not being a beep or nerd playing with Pokémon cards and reading comics and books. I would like to add that he was a middle school teacher, and then his off-time refereed and umpired local middle and high school sports games. My mom never intervened, and in fact acquiesced when he demanded that she stop giving me lunch money, because the little beep will just spend it on comics and other gay beep. One day, I took maybe $3 and change out of his change jar, so that I can buy a slice of pizza and some fruit punch during lunch at school, because I was tired of being hungry. My twin sister was always a bit of an beep hole, and frequently blackmailed me into doing her chores from a young age. I was fed up and refused to do something, so she told him what I had done. This man actually called the police and pressed a larceny charge against me, and once the police had left, beat me senseless. At that point, I ran away. When the cops found me and returned me to my home, I found out that I'd been trying to talk my mom into sending me away to military school or something of that nature. I ran away again, and between having run away several times and the larceny charge, ended up turning 16 in juvenile detention. I spent the next couple years miserable and afraid, frequently contemplating suicide. Once I left home, I didn't speak to my mom for several years. We eventually reconciled, and by that point they had married. I was a lot bigger than I had been as a young teenager, and had gotten into weightlifting, so he no longer acted like he was going to punch me to make me flinch, much less actually hit me, and we basically avoided each other for the most part. My mother found out that she had stage 4 cancer, and no longer wanted to waste any of the time she had left with him, so she had a lawyer draft up a separation agreement whereby he would receive a set amount of money upon separation, and would have 45 days to retrieve his belongings from the house. He had spent his entire inheritance in 6 months and then had to sell his mother's house that he grew up in order to settle his debts shortly before they started dating. Oh, and my mother bought the house back from the bank before they married. She allowed him to keep the house and he moved back into his mother's house. My mother passed away about 9 months after their separation, and despite the agreement have been allowing him to come and get his stuff piecemeal. I put an immediate end to that. I sold his baseball card collection, around $14,000, and his autographed sports memorabilia, roughly $11,000, and also sold all of his woodworking equipment, along with several finished pieces of furniture that he had made, $6,500 I think. I kept his mother's engagement ring, platinum band, 3 diamonds, roughly 2 carats, wedding band, his coin collection. I also collect coins, and some tools and other odds and ends. Around a month ago, I ran into him at the grocery store. I told him what I had done, as he was pushing his cart out towards his car, and he took a swing at me multiple times. Several of these punches missed, and the ones that they connect didn't have much effect because he's nowhere near as strong as he was 20 years ago in his 40s, and I no longer a skinny little 15-year-old. He continued to try to punch me as I called 911, and was actively ramming his grocery cart into my new Toyota as the police officers pulled into the parking lot. He was arrested for assault, communicating threats, and destruction of property. As a result, he lost his job and pension at the local middle school, and because he had never learned how to save money while married to my somewhat wealthy mother, ended up having to sell his mother's house because he hired an expensive lawyer thinking he could somehow beat the charges. My nephew, who was on the football team, made it well known to his friends that he not only had just been arrested and convicted of assault as well as other charges, but that he had also beat me as a child, caused several parents to call for him to resign from refereeing and umpiring for local sports games. My niece, and my girlfriend's much younger sister, are enrolled at the middle school where he worked, and say that he was not only universally disliked, but when he came up to the school to get his belongings, he made a big scene and ended up hysterically crying as he was leaving. At least that's what they've heard from the kids who were attending summer school at the time. His son, who he was equally abusive towards as a child, refused to take him in or help him out, so he ended up having to take a job as a cashier at Walmart so that he could afford the rent on his crappy little trailer in an absolutely awful neighborhood. Even though that Walmart is not the closest Walmart to my house. That is now the only place where I go grocery shopping or to purchase anything that I need. I purposely stand in line longer than I need to just so that he can be the one who has the pleasure of ringing up my purchases. The first time I went through his line, he attempted to ring up multiple items more than one time to overcharge me, and when I called him on, it said that I was mistaken. I asked for a manager, and the manager believed him that it was an accident, but he learned that he can't get away with that. The second time, I made sure to be as nice as possible and had to ask for a manager because he was overwhelmingly rude. The people in line behind me backed me up and he got in some trouble for that. Every time I go there and step into line, I see him die a little bit inside, and it may be petty but it gives me such satisfaction. Sometimes I'll say that I'm paying with exact change, and as I'm about to hand him the money I'll say, "Oh, I didn't realize I had rare coin from his collection in my pocket. I guess I'll pay cash. I just sold his expensive ratcheting wrench set, and so on Monday when he works again, I'm going to go buy my daughter one of their better above ground pools, and as he's ringing it out tell him, I know that my daughter is just going to love this pool. It's not like I would have ever used those expensive ratcheting wrenches anyway." Our second and last story of today is, talk racist and kick me. You're half blind now. So about 3 years ago, I was in high school and there was a guy in my classes that hated me for some reason, and I heard he was talking racist about other people. I didn't mind at that time because I didn't want to get in trouble. But when I heard that he was saying that I and my brother need to go back to Africa, I'm black but born in the country where it happened, I was shook, so in the break I went to him and asked what he said. The conversation went like this. Me, what did you say about me? Him, what do you mean? Me, you were talking racist about me and my brother. Him, I didn't do that at all. Me, I have screenshots of you saying things about me. I could see him getting uncomfortable and angry. Me again, if I ever see such thing again, I will beep you up. He didn't react to that and he was shook, probably cause he didn't know that I would confront him. Then, I walk away to get to the next lesson and he pushes me in the back really hard so I fell and then kicked me on the ground multiple times. What a pussy move. Then I stood up shocked and hurt, but I felt so much adrenaline to my body that I punched him on his cheekbone. I did boxing at the time so it was a hard hit. He ran away and cried. Later, I get called to the principal. He gave me a story that I hit somebody. So I told him the whole story and I didn't get in trouble. The next day, I hear that he had some big eye issues because the punch and that he was blinded now one eye by me. And he got expelled for starting a fight and provoking me. Some sweet revenge. Thank you for watching. Error. Problem detected. Not enough subscribers. Please subscribe, like and comment.